be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Jesus began to show his disciples that he must go to Jerusalem and suffer greatly from the elders, the chief priests, and the scribes, and be killed, and on the third day be raised. Then Peter took Jesus aside and began to rebuke him. God forbid, Lord, not such things shall ever happen to you. He turned and said to Peter, Get behind me, Satan. You're an obstacle to me. You're thinking not as God does, but as human beings do. Then Jesus said to his disciples, Whoever wishes to come after me must deny himself, take up his cross, and follow me. For whoever wishes to save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. What profit will there be for one to gain the whole world and forfeit his life? Or what can one give in exchange of his life? But the Son of Man will come with his angels and in his Father's glory, and then he will repay all according to his conduct. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus.
We could go back to the Gospels, and let's just, I want you to, as we look at the Gospel, 3 levels, one leading to a deeper one, and ultimately, hopefully, getting to the maximum level. So 3 levels, one building upon the other, of how we can relate to the cross. And as I go through it, I want you to, 1, bring to mind what is your cross, and 2, where you at in the relating to that cross in these 3 levels that I'm going to be describing. So, first thing first, what is your cross? What or who? Often our crosses are directly or indirectly in relationship with a person or persons. So, what is your cross? Raise your hand if you can articulate, if you know your cross. The rest of you are in first level, denial. And the first level is that we deny the cross. Let's see how the gospel articulates. So now this is Jesus, who, let's go at the beginning, Jesus who recognizes he must go to Jerusalem, and he knows going to Jerusalem is facing those who are criticizing him, who are judging him, who want him dead, who in going to Jerusalem, I know he's going to suffer. Not just him, but the apostles do too. I must go to Jerusalem. Notice, say, I must pick up my cross. I must embrace it. I must accept my cross. I must go to Jerusalem, suffer greatly by our leaders, by those who think they're better than me or no more, whatever the story, however you want to put it. Let's go to the first slide. Go back. One more. Oh no, that's it. You got it. Must go to Jerusalem and suffer greatly from the elders, the chief priests, the scribes, and then be killed. Now, if you're an apostle and you hear Jesus said this, the first part, we must go to Jerusalem. They're gonna say, oh no, not Jerusalem. And then I'm gonna suffer greatly. Oh, we know that's gonna happen. And then we have to deal with the scribes and Pharisees, and then get killed. By then the apostles stopped. Like, yeah. I don't think they heard what he said afterwards. And if they did, they probably didn't get it. They were not going to get it. Be killed, and on the third day be raised. They were stuck, most likely, in, we must go to Jerusalem. No, we're not going to Jerusalem. No, we're not going to suffer. No, you're not going to get killed. Now, Peter, leader of the apostles, speaking on behalf of the apostles. What is Peter and the apostles thinking? Well, Peter doesn't have any hesitations to say what he thinks. and he goes and says, God forbid, Lord. There's no way you can suffer. No way we're going to Jerusalem. No way you're going to pick up your cross and be killed in it. No way. God forbid this. Such things shall never happen to you. Now, listen to that voice within you. So what is your cross? There is no way I have to suffer. There is no way that God is asking me to go through this cross. Why? Because I'm the beloved son of the Father. I'm the beloved daughter of the Father. God will not want me to suffer. That sounds more like the gospel of prosperity, which is a lie. Let me be very, very clear. It's a lie. The gospel of prosperity says something like this. If I have a personal relationship with the Lord, everything will be perfect. Peaches. A house, a car, fame, money, clothing, everything, because God has already done it all, and He's going to give me everything. A bunch of balloons. Those are people who are still stuck in the first level. God forbid that I will have to suffer. God forbid I have to go to my own Jerusalems. God forbid that I'll be killed. God forbid that I must die to my pride and to my ego and to myself. God forbid that happens to me. And what's the response of Jesus? It's very powerful. Jesus said to him, "Get behind me, Satan." That's where that lie is coming from. Satan himself. Get behind me, Satan. You're being an obstacle for me. You're not letting me take the first step. And there's 3 levels. We haven't even got to the first level. We're trying to make that first level. It's like Satan is going to impede you from picking up that cross. And his favorite technique is to say, no, God doesn't want you to suffer. You're thinking now as men things, as human things, with this basic instinct of survival. No pain, avoid, fight, flight, but God forbid you have to embrace suffering. And sometimes we're still stuck there. I myself at times I thought, oh, here we go again. All right. Well, how do you make that step? Well, let's continue reading. Then Jesus said to his disciples, whoever wishes to come after me, you must deny yourself. Take up your cross. And in another version of the gospel says daily. They add daily. Just in case you missed it in Matthew in the other gospel, they put daily. You must deny yourself, take up your cross daily, and follow me. Now, following him, who is Jesus? Jesus is the Son of God, the beloved Son of the Father. So if I follow Christ, then I know myself as beloved. I am indeed a beloved Son of the Father, a beloved daughter of the Father, whatever that may be in your case. But human beings are the ones who think suffering is bad, but you're not thinking as God thinks. For God, suffering is just suffering. It's not good or bad. For him, suffering is the means for something greater. And if it's the means for something greater, it's not necessarily good or bad. It's the means. But we see the cross, we see the suffering, and say, no way, God forbid. But what if God does will? Now, I'm not saying be masochist and look for pain and torture and all that. No. You don't have to look for it. You already got it. If it is the will of the Father, that cross is still facing you. You still have that cross right in front of you. And with all your best attempts to ignore it, avoid it, find your way around it, the cross is still there waiting for you. Why? Because that's the will of the Father. This first step of picking up my cross, to be able to do this is, do I trust that the Father knows better than me? Do I? Now, if I trust that the Father knows what's best for me, and this is the cross He's putting right in front of you, and you keep avoiding it, and it's still there, then can you conclude that perhaps that's the cross He wants you to pick up and follow after Him? So the way we do this for the first step is, okay, Father, I trust you. I trust that somehow through this cross, you're trying to work something greater for me. So, okay, I take it, I pick it up, and start walking with it. That's the first step. You trust in the Father. Now, let me give you a little footnote what helped me understand about my cross and our crosses. That cross is perfectly imperfect. That cross is perfectly imperfect for you, and only for you. If I were to take your cross, it would be imperfectly imperfect for me. But your cross, perfectly imperfect for you. And if I try to take his cross, that's going to be my hell, because it's not going to work. And you can't take mine either, because mine is mine, yours is yours. Very simple. But my cross is perfectly imperfect for me. Designed by God and by his will and in his love and in his goodness for me. If I pick up this cross and go and follow after him, it will do me so much good. And that's the first step. Okay? All right, Father, this is it. All right, there we go. Second step. When you take up that cross faithfully and consciously. Faithfully. Day after day. Faithfully. You don't trade crosses with someone else. Or let me go somewhere else. Or trying to figure out something else in my life. I'm tired of this cross. No. Faithful. Until death do us apart. Faithful. But conscious. We could easily fall into this autopilot thing. It's like, oh, wake up. Do whatever you got to do. Okay. No, just be conscious that you're carrying the cross. Remind yourself how it feels carrying it. It sucks. I don't like it. But Father, I'm trusting you. Be conscious of it. Because in being conscious of how that cross feels, you're becoming ever more conscious that you're trusting in the Father. Father, I don't like this, but I'm trusting you. And then you're renewing that faith so that you faithfully and consciously can continue carrying the cross. Day after day, day after day. I hope at least you're in this phase. Now, this is only the second phase. You ready to go to the third level of Jumanji here? You saw the movie, okay. The other ones, all right, Jumanji is, never mind, forget it. But there's still more. See, once you go beyond the get behind me, Satan, I'm going to trust the Father. This is my perfectly imperfect cross. And then, okay, it is what it is. I trust you, Father. And then you start faithfully, consciously doing it. We have to be careful because that's not enough. Because that could be reduced to the level of just duty and obligation. And that's not enough. You know, and if you're doing it just out of duty and out of obligation, or it's my responsibility, it's sapping your cross of something very powerful. And that's where now we go into the third level. And I don't know if you're ready for it, but at least I'm going to point at it so that you know that there's more. So continue faithfully and consciously carrying that cross, because when you do, eventually something is going to happen. You're going to see that the cross is the place of love. It's the place of love. When you're waking up every day and you're being responsible, and more than out of obligation, out of love, you're now entering a very deep, profound, mystical place where you're beginning to discover that in your cross is how you're loved by God, and how God loves you, you love God, and in being one with him at the cross, it begins to overflow with love towards others. And then you being faithful and conscious about carrying the cross, It's done with a way that is so mesmerizing for all who see you, because they see you with a smile and radiating with love. And when you're there, now you're a Christian. Now you are the Christian that you're meant to be. Now, because if we read, for whoever wishes to save his life, he's still here, and oh, God forbid, I have to suffer, I don't want that, this is too much commitment, this is too much, no, I'm going to look for something else, no, well, get behind me, Satan. For whoever wishes to save his life, you're going to lose it, because if you're stuck here, you'll never know what real life is. Divine life, mystical life, union with God here on earth, and preparing you for all eternity in that love. You'll never know what life is. Just living this life, worldly life, caught up here. But if you deny yourself, if you're willing to die to yourself, lose yourself, whoever loses his will lose. For whoever wishes to save his life will lose it. But whoever loses his life, and that's the key part. And I like the fact that that letter is capitalized. For my sake. That's when you've gone to this third level. And at the cross, you see that your cross is really his cross. And that his cross is your cross. And that you're one with him. And that you're doing this for my sake. The one who so much loves me, that is willing to die. And is giving me the great honor to participate in his great act of loving me by me loving him in the way I faithfully and consciously carry my cross. People, and it's so difficult to speak of that. And I don't know if, at least my tears maybe will be able to speak of that. But when you get to that level, oh boy, that's life. That's eternal life already here on earth. But some of us are still stuck here. No, God forbid, I got to suffer. Don't even call yourself Christian. You really embarrass us. You're making us look really bad. But if you're going to be a Christian, then go all the way. All the way where you are at the cross with Christ in you, in holy communion, in love. That's what we come to do every Sunday. We come to receive him, so that in our crosses we have the strength in that union, in that love, to pick up my cross. And when I see my cross, I see love. Not duty, not responsibility, not the burden. I see love. And the opportunity to receive love, the opportunity to love. For me, when I learned of that third level, I was at the Holy Cross, the parish Holy Cross, Holy Cross. I guess there was a lot of graces in Holy Cross. And we were getting ready for the celebration of the exaltation of the cross, double cross. And I said, you know what, I'm going to do a retreat on Holy Cross, on the exaltation of the cross, triple cross. And I'm meditating and doing research, reading the life of the saints and meditating and trying to figure out, really embracing the mystery of the cross. It's a place that there's something behind it. There's a mystery that wants to reveal itself, and that somehow by me embracing it, living it out faithfully and consciously, something greater will reveal itself. And I was struggling, and then I felt like the Lord said to me, so Carlos, you don't get it. You still don't get it. So what do you mean I don't get it? See, I was stuck in thinking that the great value, the power of the cross is how much you suffer for me. He's like, you're not getting it. See, when you look at the cross, if what you're seeing is suffering, you got it all wrong. And he says to me, what gives great value and power to the cross is not my sufferings. It's my love. It's my love what frees you. It's my love that reconciles you with the Father. It's my love that sets you free. It's my love that raises you from the dead. It's my love that gives you life. It's not the suffering of my love. Now, the suffering is so that you can see how much I love you. That I'm willing to even go through that and more because I descended into hell. That's scary. For a moment I thought I was. Pray for souls in purgatory as they still purgating themselves and trying to enter into that third level. So I got you guys. But now I ask you, at the beginning I ask you, what is your cross? And what is often who is that cross for you? And where are you at? Are you still in the first level? God forbid I have to suffer. Are you more in the second level? Okay, faithfully, consciously, my duty, my obligation. If I don't do it, no one will. If this is my vocation, I have to accept it. Or are you at the third level? Where picking up that cross, embracing it, kissing it, is a place of love. 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 May we all pick up our cross. May we all follow after Christ. May we all get to experience that love. And when you do, that is everlasting life.